Everybody, this is Vladimira Kuna. I'm an international best-selling author of the Bible of the Masterminds, and we have beautiful Heather Lynn here, who is also an international best-selling author, and she has many books on. She will line them up for us. Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I love how many books you're writing, and you self-publish. You actually started with traditional publishing, then self-published the books. Heather has hundreds, I'm going to say hundreds book in her because of the way she talks. Tell us what got you into this amazing journey of author.
Well, it's funny, like the pathway, once you open up to it, it doesn't always go so straight, you know, like where I found myself. I'm a lawyer by day. I'm still practicing law. I'm in New York. And I started doing meditation. It started really after my mom passed away. That was the catalyst that changed my whole life. You know, when you're in that grief and you're kind of searching and you're seeking, I found meditation, started meditating, actually became buddies with this girl who was like my meditating partner. And she's like, you know, we would check in on each other. Did you meditate today? Check in, because, you know, when you start doing, that was the first like ritual I started changing, like my pattern. I became more centered, and it was like anything you want to change, any habit, it takes some time. So we were kind of checking up on each other. So I messaged her one day and I was like, you know, I've been listening to the book, you know, Think and Grow Rich. And I'm like, this is amazing. And, you know, so she's like, oh, do you ever hear of Bob Proctor? And I was like, no, I haven't. You know, I was like, never heard of him. So she's like, oh, you have to, you know, you have to check him out. And then she started sending me stuff, and her mentor was Mariko. I don't know if you're familiar with Mariko. So she's, you know, a coach, and she's like, oh, she's doing a free, you know, session with somebody. So I wound up doing a session with her. And looking back now, I think that was over 2 years. It was over 2 years ago, maybe almost. Yeah, it was 2019. I think early 2019. And I was in a state of just like despair, you know, even though I was starting to do different things to change my patterns. I was still in grief. I was still overwhelmed. I had young kids. I was like, you know, like just barely holding it together every day. And, you know, I was just focusing on all of the lack, you know, all of the stuff that I don't have. And even just my student loans, you know, I went to law school, so student loans are very high here in America for that. And I'm like, but I have to sit down and just crunch numbers, and every penny I make, I have to put it towards my debt and do this and do that. And she's like, Heather, you just need to change everything, every way that you're thinking. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This makes no sense to me, because you're in that, you know, 3D. It's like, this is what it is, and this is what it is, and there's nothing else that it could be. And when I started talking to her, I had a couple sessions. And as I'm driving to work one day, it's a long-winded story because this is really how it came to be. I'll never forget it. I had interacted with an orphanage in Africa. They randomly, just for everything, but nothing's random, right? Randomly messaged me. And I'm like, I don't know if this is a scam or it's not a scam, whatever. But I decided to send them some money, just, you know, a little bit via their website. And I wound up getting a video message from the kids. And like, I was in tears. I was in tears because, you know, you hear gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. But it's such a easy thing to say, but it's not like a very easy thing to do and to feel. And so when I got that message back from them, they're like, thank you so much. And we love you, Heather Lynn. And like, they had a video of them holding up a sign. And I'm crying. And my daughter turns to me and she's like, what are you crying? I'm like, they just sent me this video, because you send money to charities and you never hear back. You never see anything. You never see the impact that you make. And when I got that video, I get chills now because I just think about it. It was like, it just opened this door. I don't know, that moment alone, because the next day as I'm driving, I would drive a lot, which puts you in that repetitive, you know, like zone. I drove a lot for work, and I'm driving to work to all the way to the city for court. And an idea popped in my head while I was listening to Think and Grow Rich. And he said, when you have an idea, you know, you have to run with it. Successful people, you know, take that idea and they go, they don't think twice, they just go. And the idea was to write a book for, you know, and to raise money from the book sales to this charity. And I haven't thought about being an author. I mean, I'm 40 years old. The last time I was really writing was probably when I was 10, you know? So I'm like, okay, well, that's odd, but let me think about this. And I got home and I just wrote it. It just came out. And I thought I was a one-shot deal, one book, whatever. And as I'm talking to Mariko, like the following week, I told her this. And I was like, you know, she's like, what do you want? I was like, well, I don't know. I want to make a lot of money. I just want to do this, you know, I want to do an arbitrator position or do this so I have more time and flexibility. She's like, what do you really want? And I was like, I don't know. I wrote this book. I really liked it. I thought maybe I could write more, but I Googled it and authors don't make any money. You know, and she's like, Heather, you stop being in this mind frame. And so she's like, you have to do this. You have to write, you know, you're going to be writing books and I see it and this. And I was like, all right, whatever, you're crazy, you know, it just kind of told her that. And it all just like changed for me. You know, 6 months later, she told me, which, I mean, I don't know if I'm spilling like some stuff from her here right now. I'm sure she'll be fine with me saying it. She's like, I just had this feeling from your mom too, because my mom passed on, that she like somehow tapped into that. And I was like, this is what you have to be doing. And, you know, the synchronicities since then, like I found my mom's high school autograph book, like each year not high school, I think it was actually elementary school or something. And they would write, you know, all the students and teachers would write something in it. And one of the teachers wrote in there, you know, don't stop writing. Like one day I'm going to read your, you know, your novel, you know, signed by you. And I'm like, what? My mom never told me she wrote. Like, what was this meant for her? Or was this meant for me to find it 30 years later now on my journey? Because I've never seen this before. And so it's like little synchronicities like that when your life just is on now the right path. It took some, you know, like smacking me around from a couple of people, but now I just feel like I would do this if I never made a cent, because I love it so much, because it's just a joy. It's an outlet. It's a passion that I never had before. Like I haven't had it. I liked to write as a kid. And then I got, you know, I guess I just got that self-consciousness. Like I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. And I just tabled it for 3 decades. And then I'm back again. And now I know to pursue this. So yeah,
I love your story. I love what you said. And we both in the same environment. Mindset really is everything, how we see. And this is exactly how most of us just start, or most of us still do, is focusing on luck. And I was just talking about perception today, how we crown the circumstance and give it away our power. Not when you actually started going for something you love, absolutely love, and you feel the passion. And I say so many times, I love what you just said about you really felt the passion. And this is why it's going to just go everywhere and it's going to be successful, because of the energy that is put in there.
Right.
It's not just you, it's the idea. And, you know, I do believe that you meant to find mom's message, because it kind of sends a message like she's never done her dream.
Right.
And don't let your dreams die with you.
Yeah.
It's one of the most powerful sentences I've heard. And, you know, like one of our priests was saying, I go to people when they're dying and, you know, ask them, what would you do? And they said, if I could go back, I wouldn't care about the house and car and stuff, but what legacy can you leave behind yourself? Yeah. And I love also when you said about the authors, but again, you know, it's just like, if you go for something you desire and love, and I can read your energy on how much you love children's book.
Thank you.
So tell us which ones you've done. The angels. I've heard I've listened to not listened. I've read the Angel's Grandma, and I'm going to have a look, because which one is the one which you have the last one?
Oh, the last one. I don't even have a copy in my hand yet. I just did a book, Isn't It a Miracle? Which it's a rhetorical question, obviously, because it's all a miracle, right? But it's just, I was listening. Well, I think I heard the quote by Einstein, and obviously I heard, you know, Wayne Dyer's quote. When you change the way to look, you look at things, the things you look at change, and it's so true. It's like how many times you walk by you know, you're not looking at the sky. Like I sit there and every time, even when I'm driving, I drive carefully, but I'll look up and I'll be like, oh my God, look how beautiful the sky is. Look at the sky. Why is no one looking at the sky? What are you guys doing? You know, look how beautiful this is. Or like looking at, but my mom passed, like I saw so many butterflies everywhere I went those following months. And I'm like, how miraculous is it that a butterfly started crawling, goes into this crazy transformation. Can you imagine the pain that kind of transformation takes to come out with wings? I mean, like, that's crazy to me. And people don't, you look at it like it's nothing, but everything in this world, like I got very like deep, even with like the sacred geometry, like everything is made and crafted so beautifully that how it starts, like even us, we start from just a seed, like a little tiny seed. And from that, you just expand and grow. And, I was just amazed at all this stuff, because I think when you look closer, you can see the divine, beauty in everything. And, you just get in that sense sometimes, like you get very down from the world because people are focusing on all the negative and saying, oh, the world's overpopulated, like there's too many of you humans and you need to all go away. And it's like, I just want to be like, no, scream, like you are divine. You're here for reasons. You know how hard it is that you're even here right now. The probabilities of you, making it through and be born alive into this world. I mean, that alone. And I just wanted my children to see in a very simplistic but profound way that it's all a miracle, and you are the greatest miracle of all. If no one told you that today, you are the greatest miracle of all. And that's how the book ends. But it looks at things like, the clouds, it's like a painting passing by, or the butterfly, or the ocean, how it's, the ocean rips and roars and then it's calm again and gently kisses the shore. And it's like all those little things, like just taking notice of it. So like, I'm very proud of that book. I self-published it. And then I had a book. This is the other book that I self-published recently. It's called God Hears My Song. And it's just like basically almost like Neil Donald Walsh's Conversations with God, but for children, because I started, my daughter started asking questions about God, and I'm like, God, and I was explaining it to her, and Neil Donald Walsh's book popped in my head about conversations with God, and how you don't have to be in a temple, in a church, or to go through somebody else to talk to God. That is so removing you from God. You can have conversations. So that was like, so all my books are like simplistic in a way, but very profound, because it's me on this journey now, almost as a child, rediscovering all the stuff that I wasn't really taught, and I hope that I'm leaving that for my children, that they're, and I see now my daughter is so much smarter than I was at that age. She is so intuitive. So much.
She follows you, and this is the most amazing thing what I love seeing, like when my kids draw something and they say, I want to publish my book with a real publisher, mommy, like you, like actually the biggest message you can give to children and anyone around you is going as an example, talking about doing something and actually never doing it. It's like they have to see people doing it. They have to see, and this is my mommy. My mommy's writing books. And I love what you said about the conversation. I actually follow Neil, and I religiously study Conversations with God. And I grew up in a Catholic family, so I do see, we come down again, how perception is critical.
Yeah.
And it's funny you talked about When Diary, because this is exactly the quote, how I started my life lesson today. But it is so important to find these powerful messages. And I don't think we realize how simply we can put this and powerfully into kids to understand, because it is really so important to go back to values. Like this world is, and again, you talk about clouds, and just quickly, I took kids in the summer, and we were lying down, and I was playing this, I always did that. But then again, I did that because my parents did it with us. We were lying in the grass and going, oh, what is that reminding you of? And we created stories. And as the clouds move, you actually keep creating stories as the clouds are going.
I love that. There's a picture in the book about that.
I love it. So when you talked about, I actually uptilted I don't know whether I should admit it. I still do it all the time. I look at the sky and I'm like,
it's
what's
fun.
that? And then they
Yeah.
separate. So you create something new with it. But this is where the imagination, like
Yes.
what you're doing with your books, I absolutely love. I love powerful messages for kids. And it gives them this what we're teaching, imagination,
Yes.
higher faculties, you know, how they can tap into inside. And that's what happened to you. I mean, by listening to you. It's
Yeah.
you've discovered your inner heroic power, something when you awaken, when you tap into it, because we have the God inside us, each of us.
Yes.
And if we can shine this through and actually bring the shine on other people, and I love how much you're giving. I love your mindset of giving. I know you as a person, so you're amazing. Could be here forever talking about it, but I love the heart and you can feel the energy. And you know, you have some puppies, the puppy dogs books.
Yes,
well.
I have. Well, oh my God, I have a lot of dogs. Well, no, I have a lot of animals. I have a golden retriever. I don't know where he is right now. I'm probably eating something. I have 3 cats and 7 hens, but the hens are outside, so they're actually the easiest out of all. They go right into their house at night and they just eat their food. They're pretty good. I have a couple crazy hens that keep trying to escape, but you know, that'll go in a story eventually.
You should write stories. I wanted to
yes,
say
I have a whole thing plans for my chicken books, but you know, that's just going to kind of be a fun book. Right now, I'm very much on the you know, just the poignant books, you know, because I think, you know, one of the things with my mentor when I was working with Mariko told me, and it's everything that Bob and Peggy would say too, that, you know, those first 7 years of your life, everything just goes in like a direct funnel into your brain.
Yes.
And I'm like, how do I make books that, you know, it will stand the test of time, but also just puts good in there, because there's so much stuff out there that's not good, you know, like I see what's on the TV, I see what the kids are, and I'm like, oh, this gets me so frustrated, they shouldn't be watching this, but I'm like, but I'll create something that I'm proud of and that will help them, you know, because you get into that mode where it's like, oh, everything's so bad, everything's terrible, and it's like, well, what do I do about it? Like, you do something good, you counteract that by putting good out into the world. And I do, you know, I don't even think I was making impact on anybody, but people would reach out to me and be like, I can't believe what you're doing, I'm so inspired. I was like, well, that's great, you know, like, I mean, you're just on your own self journey and you're helping other people by being your true self, you know.
Oh, I love that. I love the, you know, one of my highest top values is actually authenticity. So being authentic to yourself and others, it's just like, and this is where I love what you do, because the message needs to be spread, especially with kids. I don't think well, I do think, but you know, like sometimes people don't realize how having the news and everything actually impacts them. And I love what you said about the first 7 years. This is why I chose for kids to be in a Montessori environment and stuff, because I studied kids and the impact. I love kids. I'm absolutely, so for me, equally, it's really important to impact the young minds. Because when I look at us, we're great. We try and transform and do stuff. But I think that's the next generation who really can make this world the much better place.
Right.
By understanding and giving them. You're doing hugely. I love what you're doing. So you have many, many books to come. I'm sure we'll interview you about more.
Oh, thank you.
But thank you so much for coming and talking about. I love your message. I love your heart. Absolutely. Anything else you would love to wear? I will actually post after the interview. I will actually, guys, post all the links where you can find Heather. You can directly contact her. She's self-published. She's doing loads of work as well. She's very knowledgeable. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
And what have you learned? What would you say is the biggest lesson becoming an author?
Yeah, I mean, I think just going for it, but also like what you said even before was very impactful. I saw losing somebody at that time and thinking of all the wishes that she had unfulfilled, and you know, things that she was going to do. One day when I retire, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to travel. And I'm like, you know, one day is not out there, it's here now. One day is now. You do it now. Every day I do something towards my dream, because I found that niche that it makes me happy. This is not work to me. This is pure joy. So whatever you need to do to find that and do it now. Do not wait. Do not wait for one day, someday, any day. Now is the time.
Yeah, I
to
love
do it.
that. I love that. This is one of the most living in the now.
Yes.
You know, we had just before we had with Peggy, we had Blaine coming actually training us this week, and he said something, and we all had the aha moment. He said, "It's not what you're actually living for, your goals and your desire, what you actually love to do. It's what are you going to die for?
Right.
Like when you die, was it worth actually living? Was it worth of you?" And I thought, how we always thinking like we need to find that one thing that passions, you know, the passion in your heart when you follow it, but what are you going to die for? And I thought that is so amazing to think from like have a different perception on. I would love to die for this, because if you can leave a legacy, and
Right.
this is like, you know, maybe 100 years behind where you were 140 with I'm planning to have a 111 party. But what about then everybody's reading your book going, oh my goodness, we need to do this more because the world is going different way with the technology and everything. It's not good or bad, but it's great if we use it to our benefit. But if we let the technology overtake us, like the kids mostly sitting on the screens glued, you know, like not really creative, that is what they will be looking and going, oh, I can look at the sky. Like for us, like when we talk about the sky, you know, it's something for me, it's like so obvious, not obvious for everyone else. So, you know, all these very valuable, powerful messages you're giving to next generations as something they will view differently, because they're usually glued on a screens and not really outside lying in the grass. And I'm not judging everyone. I'm just saying, like, it's just where we are.
Right. No, I think getting back to basics, like it is a simplistic concept, but it's very profound, because when you're glued to all that, you can't connect. Like even just walking outside barefooting, that's something you're connecting yourself with the earth, with the magic, with the beauty, with all of this. And you don't get that when you're sitting. I get a headache when I'm sitting behind a computer for too long. I can't handle it, you know, like I gotta get out. And I'm not saying I love bugs and all that stuff, but I mean, I love being outside and spending time with my chickens, like going for a forest walk, you know, stuff like that. I think everybody needs to get back to that, not just kids, like adults too. We need to take some time and just be in nature. And a lot of these things are really what that's all about, understanding, having gratitude for that. And that is where you find imagination. That is where you find inspiration. Every time when I want to look for something, I get back to that. It should be easy. It should just come. And when you allow that to open, it will come to you.
I totally agree. I'm a barefoot girl. You made me laugh mentioning it.
No, but I am too.
It is so true. I still hug trees, you know, like, and it is so true. You know, like sometimes people say, where do you get the inspired thoughts? You go out. You actually go out, and like what you just said, you actually connect to your inner power and to yourself. And everything flies to you, you know, like you really attract all the great, amazing ideas and the goodness. Absolutely. Love you and leave you, because I've taken so enough of your time.
Thank you
Absolutely
so much.
love listening here. I could talk to you forever. So everyone, have a look.
Thank you.
Look at Heather's books and just connect directly with her. I will put all the links underneath so you can actually just get the books. Absolutely. I love
Thank you so much.
Brain Mask. And thank you, Heather, for all your beautiful time, and really appreciate you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
And to you too.